Hi, this is Ryan with Wilwood Disc Brakes, and today we're going to be installing this big brake kit on the rear of a 2017 Dodge Ram. Before you start, read all instructions and warnings. If you don't know what you're doing, leave it to a professional. Now that the truck's up in the air and we got the wheels and tires off, we're going to go ahead and remove all the factory braking components. To remove the caliper from the axle, there's going to be 2 bolts holding it on. Make sure to save these bolts, they will be reused. Pull the caliper off the rotor and hang it out of the way. One little tip when changing out your brake lines to prevent the fluid from leaking out is to put one of these soft line clamps on the Flexline going from the body to the axle. To fully remove the caliper from the vehicle, the line will need to be disconnected at the connection between the hard line and the soft line. Start with removing the bolt that holds the bracket on. Once the line's been disconnected, you can fully remove the caliper. So the last step of the disassembly is just to remove the rotor off the axle. Clean up the dust shield a little bit, get some of the brake dust off of there so you can make an accurate line on where you need to cut it. Refer to the diagram in our installation instructions for exact line placement. Make sure to always wear proper safety equipment when working with power tools. Make sure to clean up any nicks or burrs once you're done grinding. If you don't have a flap disc to deburr it, a file will work as well. After cutting, you're going to want to paint any raw metal surfaces so they don't rust. To start the installation, take the original bolt and add our supplied washer, stick it through the ear on the axle, and then place 1 shim on each of the bolts. Install the bracket and temporarily tighten it down. Before installing the rotor, make sure you take a wire brush and remove any dirt or debris that may be on the axle flange. Slide the rotor onto the axle flange and secure it using 3 lug nuts. Install 2 of the supplied shims on both studs. Apply a little lightweight oil to each of the studs. Slide the caliper over the mounting studs and secure it using the supplied nut and washer. Temporarily tighten these down. Check to make sure that the spacing between the rotor and the inside of the caliper is even on both sides. Adjust your shims as necessary. Once correct side-to-side spacing has been achieved, go ahead and remove 1 at a time of the caliper mounting bracket bolts, apply red Loctite to them, reinstall, and torque them down to the kit instruction specifications. Remove the pad retaining pins by pulling the retaining clip out, then sliding out the pin. Install the pads into the caliper with the friction material facing the rotor. Reinstall the retaining pins and clips. Check to make sure the top of the rotor and the top of the pad are even. If not, add or subtract shims to achieve correct pad height. Once correct pad to rotor height has been achieved, go ahead and torque the mounting nuts to the kit instruction specifications. Before installing the caliper fitting, apply PTFE tape to the pipe thread end of the fitting. Install one end of the Flexline onto the fitting. Install the chassis fitting into the bracket and retain it using the supplied clip. Install the assembly onto the hardline. Reinstall the OE bolt into the bracket and tighten it down. Install the other end of the Flexline into the fitting. Check to make sure that the Flexline will not interfere with any suspension or wheel components. So now that the brakes have been installed, go ahead and bleed them, check for leaks, and then bed the pads in per our instructions.